Hello, my name is Kristen Daly, and welcome to my final presentation. For those of you who may not be familiar with The Giver, I would highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite texts that I teach, but just in case, I've made a trailer for you on iMovie. For this lesson plan, I am using my 8th grade class. There are 25 students, 13 boys, 12 girls. To give a little bit of background, I teach at an international school. So my students are from Taiwan, Japan, South Africa, France, Singapore, and mainland China. A few of them have lived abroad in other places like America, Australia, England, things like that, but those are their core nationalities. This lesson is a culminating activity for our Giver unit. We began reading The Giver in the beginning of November, and we finished it about 2 weeks ago. For the past 2 weeks, my students have been presenting their Utopia projects, which they had 3 weeks to work on, and they were able to design their own definition of utopia. This lesson is the music integration lesson from week 7. Why this lesson? This lesson just fit the most naturally and organically into what I was already doing in my classes. To prepare, I just went along with the unit. I feel like everything that we have done has ultimately led up to this. The types of conversations we have been having, the content of the conversations we've been having. Before this lesson, I was feeling stressed. I am totally out of time. I was feeling under the gun and really pressed. And I think ultimately it compromised the integrity of my lesson. And in trying to be as transparent as possible, I will show you the ways in which time really did become an issue. In class, I explained what I was looking for, what I wanted, pretty clearly, straightforward. And for the extension lesson, for the activity that would follow this, I provided students with a handout and I put it on Moodle. Please bear with me. I recorded my entire lesson and most of it is not usable, so I'm making do with what I've got. Playing Rickroll? I think Rickroll was actually only what it was called when they sent you that song. I think the song was never going to give you up. And Justin Bieber? I can see how Justin Bieber could potentially cause a war. Do you have songs to make people have emotion? What were you going to say? Same thing? What kind of emotions do you think that music has, encourages people to feel? Happy, sad, angry. Like what? What kind of music makes you happy? What kind of music makes you sad? Justin Bieber music makes you want to cry. What kind of music makes you sad? Are there differences in instrumental music and the way, the emotions that people feel listening to instrumental music? Fast music makes you excited? In my initial lesson plan, my intention was to have my class break up into different groups, give them discussion questions, and then jigsaw the ideas together. A few of my students were sick the week that we were doing presentations. One was hospitalized, so for a variety of different reasons, the presentations extended into the time I had slotted for this lesson, which was our last regular class before finals. So instead, I had them do a writing prompt as kind of a write now. And here are some of our responses to the question: why do you think Lois Lowry chose to the very end to tell the reader what hearing beyond means? I opted not to correct for grammar because I wanted to maintain the authenticity of who my students are. My favorite here is the last one. It says, it allows you to remember that the giver was not forgotten at the end. It keeps him in the story. That's an ESL student, and I thought it was a pretty profound answer, so I felt really proud of her.
So think of this last week of school as like a Top Chef challenge, okay? What I want you to do, pretend like we just finished the big thing and I'm throwing in a wrench. One extra thing that I want by next Friday, I would like you to make a soundtrack for the first 5 songs that you think Jonah should listen to. And if it's in Chinese or another language that I don't speak, if you could please provide for me a translation of the lyrics and a short explanation for each of your choices as to why you picked that song. Okay? Number 5 songs that you think that Jonah should listen to. Have a lovely day. If you have any further questions, you can ask me. I'll give you a handout next time. I'll come on a little later today. Thank you.
This is just a very real example of the fact that teachers are always running out of time. We talked about it in Obstacles to Arts Integration, and there's always things we're trying to squeeze in. So for this assignment, students were given 2 options. The first is that they can create songs to help the citizens left behind to deal with and address the different memories that will be flooding back to them as Jonas and Gabriel escape. The second is, imagine that Jonas has just arrived in your community. Play him 5 songs that you think he absolutely needs to hear. Whenever I'm able to, I try to provide a model for my students so they are able to specifically see what I'm looking for. And for this, for each of their songs, I wanted them to provide an explanation. So I gave them an example of what I was looking for and what I wasn't. What the last few slides have shown is the actual assignment as I posted to Moodle. While students were given options as to which project they wanted to complete, whether they chose to make songs for Jonas or for the citizens left behind, both options needed to have at least 5 songs that serve a purpose, that have a specific meaning and convey a specific memory. They needed to make cover art. They needed to print lyrics in English. They were welcome to use songs in another language, but they needed to provide me with a translation. Each needed to have a thorough explanation as to why they chose that song, and students were encouraged to use more than one artist. I posted this rubric for students on Moodle. The purpose of me using this rubric for students is to clearly articulate what I'm looking for and how this assignment will be graded. I've chosen to share with you a few of the explanations that accompanied my students' song selections. I tried to group them to the best of my abilities thematically. These 3, I think, convey images of hope and the idea that things are going to get better. I want to read you the Somewhere Over the Rainbow one. The community should listen to this song because it gives them the memory of dreams. Not the same ones that they already have, but the ones when you're in a special place and where you are eternally happy. Also, it gives them the memory of how beautiful everything is on earth, and that none of the things that nature has made should be taken away. With this memory, they might bring back the hills, the animals, and the weather to their community. And with the help of the giver, they could live with all these nature-made things. I think these 3 talk about strength, overcoming hardship, the difficult things that people may encounter when the memories return to the people. These 3 song selections specifically address the difficulty and the challenges that the people in the community face. now that Jonas and Gabriel have escaped and the memories have come flooding back. These songs present a reality check and a pursuit of truth that people need to now embrace their new realities. Here's one example of cover art, and another one. That's my presentation, Moment of Zen.
The big black discs? You mean a record? Yeah.
I don't know if you could hear, one of my students asked me if I'd ever seen one of those big black discs that they had before DVDs. Made me feel a little old. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation. It's been a great class. Happy holidays. Bye.